In this video, I'll talk to you about MySQL database management system. MySQL is a database management system that stores and manages your data. And we use SQL, that stands for Structured Query Language, to manage data. And it is downloadable from mysql.com. A MySQL server can host multiple databases, and databases are stored as directories on your computer or on the server, and tables are stored as files in a directory, and each table has 3 files. The file with the extension FRM is the table structure. The one with MYD is for raw data, and the one with MYI are for indices. After you install MySQL on your computer, you run MySQL from the command line. And there are multiple sample databases for you to practice. So Circular on MySQL is a sample database for such purpose. When you install MySQL, you are asked for the password for the root account, for the root user. So the root user is like the admin user, which has the highest priority. So here, in order to log in MySQL to this database, you specify the user parameter. The user parameter here is the root user, and the password parameter. The password parameter here is the password that you gave MySQL when you install it. And if you want to just to log in general, or not specific to any database, then you can omit the database, and that is the second example. When you work on the MySQL database, sometimes you have to create users, then to create users for other users, and grant privileges for them to get access to the data on the server. So in order to create a user, use the syntax create user and then username. The username here is user1, and add localhost. You can actually omit this. You don't have to specify the host name. And then after identified by it is the password that you that the user will use to log in the database. So after running this, you need to grant privileges to the user. So in this example, you grant all the privileges on this database, on circular.star. So dot stars mean you give all their you give to the users all their access to all the tables to user1, right? So this is user1 at localhost. You can also omit this. You can also specify individually which privilege you want to give. So like a select, right? Select the privilege to select data, the privilege to insert data, update, and delete data, and create a table, drop table, and the privileges on what? On this database, on circular database with all the tables, and you grant to user1 at localhost. So in order to store data, at first you need to create a database. So here I create a database using create database syntax. So create database and then the name of the database, MySQL test. So at the end of the line you need the semicolon, and if you forget it, it will ask you in the next line like this. And after you create a database, if you want to create tables in the database, you need to use the database. So in the next line you say use and then the database name. Here I use MySQL test. So after I use MySQL test database, I can create a table in the database. So in order to create a table, I use create table syntax, and after the create table, I have the table name. So create table, create which table? This table, right? I create this table, stock prices, and inside the parentheses I specify the columns. I need 4 columns: stock ID, ticker, name, and close. Close means closing price. So I want to specify the type for the first field or the first column, integer, right? Integer, unsigned integer, and cannot be null, right? So if you say not now, and later on if you insert a row or a record, and the field, the stock ID field is null, meaning nothing, you don't have anything to enter, then it will give you an error. Also on the second field or the second column, you specify varchar. Varchar is most commonly used type. Varchar 20 positions to store data, and also not now. With name you need 50 positions, and closing prices you need you specify float. And normally you will specify a primary key, and if you want to specify stock ID as the primary key, then right here, after not now, you say primary key, right? In this example I don't, because later on I will want to edit this table and change this column into to have a primary key. Okay, so you run this. So when you run this in MySQL, remove those, okay, because this is actually the response from the system. Okay, so basically you remove those and then copy the rest and paste to MySQL and run it. So when you finish this, it creates a table for you, namely stock prices, and then you type in show tables. Show tables shows all the tables in the current selected database. So it shows you just one table, because that is a new database and you just created one table, and that's why you see just one table, and that is stock prices. Okay, now let's say after a while using the table, you need to add, to change, or even to drop some columns or some fields. Then you use this syntax, alter table, and then followed by the table name. So alter table, alter what? Alter this table. And then you specify the action that goes with the alter table. So this action is add column. You want to add one more column. So you want to add open. Right? Open meaning you want to add the opening prices with the type float. So you run this, and it adds an additional column, namely open for you. And now you want to look at the table and look at the structure of the table. You see there are stock ID, ticker, name, close, and right here you see the newly added column, open, right? Open, no, float. Now, yes, right? So now is allowable. And remember this, describe a table would give you the structure of the table. Now you do the same thing. You alter table and add a column, namely high, right? For high price, you add another column, namely low. Another column, namely volume, and another column, namely notes. And then you describe the table, describe stock price. And right here, right here, after close, you see all the newly added fields or columns: open, high, low, volume, and notes. And if you want to drop a column, so after a while you think probably you don't need the column notes anymore, so you say alter table stock prices, and then do what? You do drop column notes. Okay, so you have to specify what you want to do with alter table stock price, and that is drop column notes. And then you describe the table, describe stock prices, and what you see here do not include notes, right? You don't see the field notes anymore. You can also modify a column, so you use the same syntax, alter table stock prices, and now you say the action with the column, modify column. Modify what? Modify the column, namely stock ID, right? And you specify the new specification starting from, okay, let me mark this first, right? So here you add primary key, right? Primary key. So when you add this, then then this field or this column stock ID is the primary key. So primary key means that the stock ID of each record in this table will be unique. If you try to enter another record with the same stock ID, then it would give you an error. Okay, so once you have a table, you can insert data into the table. So insert, right? Insert into what? Insert into this table, and then followed by all the values for corresponding columns. So that goes after values clause. So the value of 1 go to the first column, the value of AAPL go to the second column, etc. Right? Etc. And in this case, you enter values for all the columns. But what if you just want to use a few columns? Then you need to specify the columns that you want to insert data for. So that is the second example. Insert into stock prices, and then in the parentheses you specify which columns you want to enter the data. So you need to enter data at least for stock ID and ticker, because they are when you specify in the table, the two columns are not null, right? So if you don't enter data for those, and then the system will give you an error. So I enter data for stock ID, ticker, and the closing price. So later on in the values clause, I just specify three values, right? Three values for the corresponding for three corresponding columns. Now I have some data in the table stock price. I can retrieve data from stock price. In order to do so, I use the statement select what? Select star. Select stars means that you select all the fields, right? All the fields from the table stock prices. So once you do that, and then end with the semicolon, enter, then it shows you the data. And you can see that the name of the second stock is now, right? The name of the company is now from my com. So I want to update this field. If I want to do so, then I'm going to use the update statement. So here I say update what? Update this table, right? Update stock price, and then I specify the action here. The action is set this field, that set the name to this string where this condition, right, where the stock ID is equal to 2. So MySQL will look for the record that has stock ID equal to 2 and set the name to JM core, and that's it. So when you run this and you select data, you retrieve data from the table again, and you look at the data and you see the name now is not null anymore, it is JM core, which is the value that you have just updated. When you want to let's say delete some records that meet some condition, then use the delete statement. Delete from this table, delete from stock prices, and you delete records based on what? Then that condition would followed after the where clause. So where, let's say where stock ID is equal to 2, right? So you delete all the records, actually just one record, right? So after running this, you look at the data again, right? You select star from stock prices and you look at the data, then you don't see the second record anymore. It's gone. Sometimes you need to delete a table. Then you say drop table, right? Drop table, and then you specify the table name. Drop table stock price would delete the table. Now we talked about the join clause in MySQL, and in this example we use Sakila sample database. Or in order to do so, you type in use Sakila, right? Use Sakila to use the table, and this is the diagram that describes all the tables and the relationship between the tables and the records in the tables. There are many tables in this sample database, so the tables can be grouped into several categories. City, country, address, and customer can be considered as in the category customer data. Some other tables, such as staff, meaning to store staff information, store to store information, rental, and payment. So the 4 tables are in the business category. A lot more are the tables such as film, film category, language category, actor, film actor, inventory, and film text are in the inventory category. And this is actually about movie, right? Which film is classified as in which category, and which actor played any role in the film, etc. And there are some other objects such as film resources, etc. This is called ERD, ERD, Entity Relationship Diagram. And you see the relationship between objects in the tables. So for example, looking at this relationship, right? On one of the side, on the category side, you see this means that one and only one. And on the other side, in a film category, you see this means that one or more than one. So the whole thing means one object or one row in category is associated with one or more than one film categories records. A clearer example would be here in the customer data. So country and cities are the two tables in the customer data. You see this relationship. Then one country in the country table is associated with one or more than one city, right? So actually, yeah, so it means that one country has one or more than one city, and vice versa. Looking from this side back, then one city belongs to one and only one country, right? This means one and only one. So one city belongs to one and only one country, but one country may have one or more than one city. So, actually that is more clearer, that concept is clearer on this side. And similarly, looking at the tables address and customer, the relationship between address and customer is also one to many, like this. So from this side, then each address belongs to one customer or more than one customer. So meaning that at one address there may be one customer or maybe more than one customer live, right? But if looking from this side, then each customer would belong to one address, one and only one address. And sometimes when the design of the database is more complex and they want to add attributes or fields to the relationship, right? So you can see in customer, each field is also considered as like an attribute of the object customer, right? So customer ID, store ID, first name, last name, etc. are the attributes of the customer object. And address ID, address to district, etc. are the attributes of the address object. And when the design becomes complex, when they want to give even attribute to the relationship here, right? Then in that case, they make the relationship a table. So that is the case that you see on the right. So between the object field and the object category, right? There is a relationship between field and category. So they add a table in between, and this is film category, and this is actually the mapping between the film and the categories. And you see it contains film ID and category, and so you can see this from the relationship, right? Now it becomes a separate table with fields or you can say attributes in it. So this is just something so that you can understand a little bit about database design, and I'm not gonna go into too much detail. Now let's say if we want to get a list of actor, right, with first name and last name, and also the title of the films or movies that they played in. Then in order to do so, I need to get data from actor, right? Actor has first name and last name, and also I need to get title, right? Title of the film or movie from this table. So basically, I need to get film and actor. But how can we get data from two separate tables? We need to look at the relationship, right? So actor and films are associated through another table, right? This is film actor, and it keeps the mapping between actor ID and film ID. So is this exactly the case that we talked about previously? And this film actor acts like as the relationship between actor and film, but this relationship has some attributes. Actor ID, film ID, and last update. So we need in order to get first name, last name in actor, and title in film, we need to get data from three tables: film, film actor, and actor. So let's see how we do that in MySQL script. So that is using inner join. Inner join meaning you get a record from one of the table, and you look for corresponding record in another table, and if you find the match, then you get the match out. So here you say select what? I select just the first name and last name and the title, but first name and last name are from actor, right? It is the fields from actor. And title is from film. So first I say I select those fields from field actor, okay, and then I have to create sort of join. And also I give the tables some aliases, because I want to write code, shorter code. So I give film actor the alias FA, right? FA, right? So this table inner join with another table, inner join with actor, and the alias of actor is A. Inner join on what condition? Then this is the condition on A dot actor ID, right? On this field in this table equal to also same field in the FA table, in the film actor table. So that's how we join film actor to actor. We need one more table, right? It is film, so we need another inner join film, and also give an alias f to film. On what condition? And this is a condition, right? On the condition fa.film id equal to f.film id. So you type in, and of course at the end you need the semicolon, enter. Then what you have is actually a very long list of actors with the first name, last name, and the movies that they contribute. Next, we talked about the left and right join. So if you say select count star, okay, select count star allows you to count how many records you have from a table or even from a select statement. So here, this is a case that I want to see. I want to see how many records I have from the inner join statement. Right? This is the inner join statement that we saw previously, and I give it an alias com. Okay, so select count star from that select statement, and the count give me 5462, right? 5462 records. So instead in the statement, I change from inner join. I have two inner joins here. I change from inner join to right join, right join, and also I want to count how many records I have from that select statement. Then the count will give me 5465. So the difference is 3 records. So what does it mean with right join? So when you say film actor, right join with actor, right? With actor. Let me get another color. So film actor, right join with actor. This means that you want to get all the records from actor, even the records that do not have a match in film actor. And similarly here, right, when you make the right join with film, then you want to get all the records from film, even the records that would have corresponding or matched records in actor and film actor. Another example is, for example, if you have two tables such as customer, right? Customers, and another table is, let's say, transaction, right? Transaction. So transaction stores all the transactions made by customers, and customers store all information regarding customers. So even maybe in the table, right, there are customers that do not or haven't bought anything, right? So if you want to see all the customers and the transactions, including the customers that haven't bought anything, right, then you have to make a right join, right? A right join here, right? Right join. So transaction, right join with customer. So right join meaning the table on the right would display everything, right? So you have all the records from customers, even the records that do not have any transaction. That's the meaning. Now let's look at MySQL functions and MySQL clauses. So one of the function which is distinct is very useful in the case when you want to display a list, distinct list of unique values of, for example, staff ID from payment. Right? In payment, there are so many records, and staff ID, one staff may process multiple payments. So if you want to see just a distinct list or a list of distinct values or unique values of staff ID, then you use the distinct function in front of staff ID. Then this would give you this, with just two staff IDs. So it means that there are only two staff who handle all the payments. The next function, which is also very useful, is count. Counts give you the count of records, and this can be used in combination with group by. So if you say count star from payment group by staff ID, then this would give you the number of records by each staff, right? By each staff. So meaning that this is for the first staff, right? And this is for the second staff. The first staff handle that many records or that many transaction or payments, and the second staff handles that many transactions. And if you want, you can give count star an alias, for example, num, right? Num. You can also add fields in. So maybe, for example, you can add staff ID, right? Staff ID as the first field, and then comma, and then count, right? Count star. Count star is the second field. Then in the result, you see you have staff ID here, staff ID, maybe 1, 2, right? Next, we talk about the average function. The average function gives you the average, for example, of amount. Right? It can be also grouped by staff ID, and if you do so, you run those, and you see the average amount by staff ID, and also sum. The functions work similar way, and you have the sum for staff ID, staff 1 and staff 2. If you want to get the max of amount grouped by staff ID, then you use the max function, and also there's another function which is mean. There are so many SQL operators. Here I give you some examples. So if you want to select a number of records that meet some conditions, and here the example using like. The condition is first name like, and then inside the single quotes you have the string that you want to search for between the percentages. So this means that you want to search for John, the string John in first name, and then also order the result by first name, and then it gives you something in the response. This is another example, and this example, in this example you have n, right? You have n to combine the first condition and the second condition. And there are some other example. This is example with the less than operator. And the last example, in the last example, you look for records in which the payment date is now. And there are more here that you can also try on MySQL. You can load data from text files into MySQL database using this syntax. So previously you need to create the table first, and then later on if you have a text file and you want to load data from the text file, you can use this syntax: load data local in file. This is the syntax. And then load what? You specify the file name here, and into the table, this is also the syntax. Then you specify a table here, right? Stock prices. Then it load data from a text file for you. So I have just described how you can use MySQL on the command line. You can also use some clients such as MySQL Developer. This is optional because this is actually MySQL Developer is for Oracle database, and Oracle actually bought MySQL. So now MySQL works with SQL Developer as well, but with sort of like limited functionality. So this is just optional, and if you want to do so, then you need to add the JDBC connector to SQL Developer, and that is located in normally in this kind of folder. It depends on which version you have. Maybe the numbers may change. So in SQL Developer, you go to the Tools menu and then Preferences, then look for Database, and then third-party JDBC driver, and then click Add Entry, and then you look for the jar file. Okay, you need to look for the jar file, not just for the folder. You see jar, right? Look for the jar file, which is the MySQL JDBC connector in the folder that I mentioned. Actually, it's also here. And then you can create a connection. You click the green plus sign and create a connection. You specify the username and password, and then the host, and normally if you install MySQL on your computer, then it's going to be localhost and use this port 3306. The port for Oracle is different. This is the port for MySQL. And then once you have this, then you can save the connection, and then connect. Once you click connect, then you are connected, and then you can browse the tables you have, browse the database you have, and look at the data, thing like that. But the functionality is kind of limited compared to Oracle using MySQL Developer. So for MySQL, the best is to use the default client, which is MySQL Workbench. So this is MySQL Workbench that goes with MySQL. So if I go to my computer, then look for the group MySQL, I have everything in there, right? here, this is MySQL Workbench 6.3, and if you want to run a SQL command line, then you run this MySQL command line. You can also run CMD, right? CMD command line prompt in Windows, and then you will CD go to the folder, the directory of MySQL, then type in MySQL and also username, password things. Okay, here I will show you how Oracle SQL Developer works with MySQL. So previously I added the condition MySQL, and if you want to look at the property, I right click on it and select properties, and you can see here, right, the condition name can be anything, and the username is the root username, the password, I say password, the host name is localhost, and the port is 3306, and that's it. Then you can save the condition and then connect. You can also test and see if the result is good or not, and then you can connect. Once you connect, you see all the database listed below it. The database that we have been working on is Sakila. You look at that, click it, then you see the list of tables in there: item, address, categories, etc. You can also look at the list of views, object, etc. And if you double click, for example, you double click item, you can view all the items, all the item records in that table. And view, you look at all the records, right, all together, and you don't have to use the select command, the select statement. But the functionality of SQL Developer when you use with MySQL is kind of limited. But I think that's because this is mainly used for the Oracle database. So let's look at the other client, which is MySQL Workbench. So if I run MySQL Workbench, then down here in schemas, I can see all the database, right? All the database in MySQL server, and this is Sakila, the database that we have been working on. You double click it, you can see the categories of objects. You look at tables, right? Then it lists all the tables for you. And if you want to look at, for example, item, double click it. And if you want to look at film, double click it. I think right click, so right click on it and select row limit 1000 records. Yeah, okay, so do this way. Okay, right click and select rows limit 1000. You can also type in the select command from here, right? And then run here. So MySQL Workbench will give you much more functionality, and here, right? If you right click on the database and select table data import wizard, this function allows you to import data directly from CSV files without creating tables first. So we will go through this later on when we go to some practice session. So that is for now, and now I think you can try install install MySQL, and then grab the scripts from the lecture and try the script with login, with creating database, use database, then create tables, also insert, update, delete records, and try MySQL functions, operators, etc., as we have discussed.